So this morning, before I go into the subject that I want to talk about today, I want to point something out to you concerning this particular article that I got from queenslandinstitute.org in their library. Now, by and large, this particular section of the history of secret human experiments in the United States was on point. But I want you to understand something, folks. If you think that you're going to find somebody who, of the Japhetic mindset, is going to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you are sadly mistaken. It just will not happen. Case in point, out of the very same website, this is on queenslandinstitute.org, same website. Where did this article come from? It was somewhere in the, where is it? Library. It was somewhere in this library where you can just go and library of useful books, PDF files, and all this other sort of thing. So, this Japhetic centric fellow who has this particular website didn't vet this article, because if he did, he probably would not have posted it. So, before you Japheth-centric people run and proclaim him your champion, like many have done with Hal Turner, and as you can see, I always have a link of Hal Turner right up there because I watch him. I watch what he does and I watch what he says. He is an enemy of Israel, a Roman Catholic who spouts off every now and again his deep feelings about the Jews. Well, this particular fellow who runs this particular website is no different. Like I said, if he would have taken time to actually read this particular article all the way through, he would not have put it in his library. So in here, Planet of the Apes, the first line. When you scroll down here, you'll notice he starts blaming the Jew for everything, right? And it gets worse. This one is kind of hilarious. It's your own fault, white people. It's your own fault. You are the ones who are pushing eugenics on non-whites. And now look at you, it backfired. So he's talking about he wanted to celebrate the new year in Brisbane. So this guy's from Australia, I guess. I remember from that place a few years back with such celebrations, families and children, friendly atmosphere, and well-behaved crowds and always majority were so-called white people. This year I was astounded 90% were not white. Blacks from Africa, Arabs, and Indians were the majority, not even many Chinese. You had to look hard to find a white face. Seems like many whites avoided that place, maybe knew what to expect, or maybe they're just not having children. Maybe they're just eugenicizing themselves. Maybe it's a comeuppance, poetic justice, however you want to call it. And he's complaining and complaining and complaining and complaining about how Australia is being taken over by darkies, as he would probably say in his heart. And what does he do? He blames the Jews for destroying countries. Now he goes to about the invasion of Europe. All those refugees are coming from other countries destroyed by Jews and their puppets. And how was Syria destroyed by Jews anyway? Did this fool, this Japhetic fool, forget to read Zechariah 9? Didn't he know that one of the signals for the coming of the day of Jehovah's wrath would be the destruction of the land of Hadrach, which is located in the Idlib province, and also Damascus, which was obviously talking about Syria? No, he didn't bother to read the scripture. Blame the Israelis. Blame the Israelis. He's saying boats arriving in Greece or Italy's shores could be towed to Israel where they belong. Can you visualize a long line of people on Israelis' borders trying to find refuge in Israel on full view of cameras and journalists and pictures projected to every house around the world? And then he goes and says, first came Talmudic Jews, unfairly persecuted, victimized, and you were repeating after others, they are humans like whatever. Then came the poofters. What is this guy's nuts? One day there will be many ships in the sea and in the air, loaded up of Semitic peoples heading to Israel. Greater Israel. Because in Isaiah 60 it says, Israel's tents will be enlarged. So what I'm saying to you, and then the Semitic folks, you already understand, you get it, that these people just cannot see past their racial hatred. They just can't. They can't get past it. And they'll ultimately, every single time, blame the Jew. That's what they do. They don't know any other way. Their intelligence quotient cannot grasp the truth. Anyway, so I posted the link of this particular article on that last video I did, so anybody who wants to read it, you can look at it freely. Alright, what I wanted to talk about today was what was it? I thought I saw, was it in one of my emails? Old emails. I send stuff to myself. I won't be able to find it. Well, anyway. Nat Geo called, as they say, the Holy See and Rome the perpetual holy city. I'm going to see if I can look it up. Let's see here. Rome, the holy city. Ah, yes, look here. So this is on nationalgeographic.com. Rome, the eternal holy city, is home to the Vatican and the 109-acre city-state run by the Catholic Church, the seat of the Roman Catholicism at St. Peter's Basilica. Now, first of all, the so-called St. Peter's Basilica was at one time the temple of Jupiter, I believe it was. Let me see if I can find it. A pagan temple. Let's try that. There's somewhere where you can find it if you look hard enough. It might have been the, oh, I know what it was. It's a statue of St. Peter. Statue of St. Peter. Of Jupiter. I think it was Jupiter. I don't want to go too far down here because I did an article on it. Okay, a marble statue of Jupiter in the Vatican Museum of St. Peter's Basilica. Now, that right there ought to be enough, because a statue of Jupiter or Zeus is the abomination of desolation. And those of you who are Jews and who read the prophets, you understand this. You understand it. You get it. But you Christians, you don't get it, because you refuse to read the words of the prophets. So we got the image of Jupiter or Zeus right here, and it's right there inside in the Vatican Museum of St. Peter's Basilica, Rome, Italy. And of course it has him laying down, but it's still looky here. St. Peter's statue used to be Jupiter. The sites claim that the statue of Peter used to be Zeus, and they're trying to dispute it, but it's true. For instance, right here, the old statue of Jupiter with its occult blessing hand is now St. Peter in the Vatican. All right, okay. I didn't want to get too far down that road, but as you can see right here, Christianity, the center of Christianity, calls, even Nat Geo calls Rome the eternal holy city. and it won't let me, but it doesn't matter. You see it right here, okay? Now, you can read some of these articles. And you can see a holy city is important for history or faith of a specific religion. Such cities may also contain at least one headquarters complex, blah, blah, blah. A holy city is a symbolic city. Okay, and list of holy cities around the world. Bunch of them. Now, but they call Rome the eternal holy city. Let me ask you a question. When did Jehovah, the Elohim of Israel, declare Rome to be a holy city? I submit to you today that what the world calls the holy city is now the seat of Satan. You saw the statue of Zeus, Jupiter. You saw the so-called statue of St. Peter, as they say, is actually the statue of Jupiter, aka Zeus, who is Satan. They just changed names in order to suit their fancy. So if you read in Revelation, let's see, I saw the New Jerusalem. All right, so this one particular passage is going to destroy more than one narrative here. And I saw a new sky and a new land. That's what it should read. A new sky and a new land. Because the first sky and the first land of what? Land of Israel, was passed away. And there was no more, in Hebrew it would be Yam, which would be the Mediterranean Sea. It would be gone. Mediterranean Sea was gone. The water was displaced from all the turmoil. And I, John, or Iona, should, not Ioneus, it's Iona, saw the holy city, Rome, coming, no, does not say Rome, does it? Nope. New, fresh Jerusalem, coming from Jehovah out of the sky. So you think you're going to go to heaven when you die? Think you're going to go to the sky when you die? Well, when the new Jerusalem, the holy city, comes down, you'll be by yourself. Up in the sky somewhere then, huh? Is that what you want? Or maybe it is that the narrative of going to heaven when you die was designed to frustrate or even eliminate the idea of a new Jerusalem coming out of the sky into its own place on Mount Zion. Now I know what you're thinking. You Christians, you think, well, Rome is the new Jerusalem. No, it's not. You know why? Because Rome is not Mount Zion. See, if you would bother to have read the prophets in Joel 2, you would have learned that the new Jerusalem comes down on Mount Zion. So we know that this is the time, Revelation 21, of salvation of all Israel. Why? Because if you read the words of Paul in Romans 11, verse 25 and 26, Paul says, when the times of the Gentiles come to the end, all Israel shall be saved. You can't try to add double meaning to it or water it down to where it means nothing. He said what he said. So we go to Yoel. Where are you? There you are. 2. Use Strong's Concordance, obviously. So when the day of wrath upon the Gentiles and the salvation of Israel occurs, it says, and it shall, whoever proclaims, calls, proclaims, reads the name of, not the Lord, Jehovah. To say the Lord instead of Jehovah is denying his name. Shall slip away, shall escape into where? Mount Zion, to Mount Zion in Jerusalem. Checkmate. There's no such thing as Rome, the eternal city, the eternal holy city. There's only one eternal holy city, and that is Jerusalem. That means Rome is the counterfeit. That means Rome is the great whore in Revelation 17 and 18. You see, it's just that simple. Jews will understand this. They know what this means. That's the reason why Paul said that Israel is only partly blinded until the time of the Gentiles comes to an end. But you Gentiles, what happened to you? You are so blinded by your hatred of the Jews that you went further into paganism, even further than your forefathers did. And you call it Christianity. Now I want to address something else. You're going to see a book come out pretty soon. And you Christians in the United States, you love your Donald Trump. And let me make something very, very clear. I despise the governments of this world. I despise democracy. I despise the republic of any sort. Why? Because they came from Rome and Greece. That's why. Just that simple. I have nothing to do with it. I'm not on any voter roll. And if they ask me to participate in the jury, I will politely tell the judge that, and I will quote him scripture, judge not that you be not judged. And yes, they tried to get me to be on a jury. In a, what would they call that? In a statutory rape case. Where a young man was, 18 and the girl was 13. Now you're not going to get, not going to get me to do it. So, I saw this, what was it, last week? Jared Kushner screams at Israeli ambassador and told him to get out of the White House when he said Netanyahu didn't trust Trump to broker a peace deal in the Middle East, the book claims. Now, I have nothing for Benjamin Netanyahu because he, Bennett, all of the politicians in Israel are, the political apparatus in Israel is patterned after the Gentile, the Roman and Greek pattern of government. But when a Jew says he does not trust Trump to broker a peace deal in the Middle East, he's right. There is no Japhetic-centric human being that is trustworthy to broker any kind of peace deal in the Middle East, folks. Can we just be honest about that? You know, the Balfour Declaration, I've mentioned it so often in the past. Why can't these countries, United States, United Kingdom, and the like, just go ahead and abide by the agreement made originally in the Balfour Declaration before the British went and added their addendum to it? So Trump's son-in-law threatened Netanyahu when the ex-prime minister said he would proceed with the Judea and Samaria annexations without the U.S.'s go-ahead. This will be the biggest mistake you have ever made, Kushner told him, according to Israeli Axios reporter Barak David's new book. Barak David's new book ought to be very, very interesting, and I can't wait to get a hold of at least parts of it. And you people thought the United States of America was a friend of Israel, and you thought the Trump administration was a friend of Israel. When the Israeli ambassador Ron Dermer tried to stall the Abraham Accords to try to add more countries, Kushner alleged that he could go F himself. Ravid also claims that Netanyahu tried to pull out of the Accords the day before the deal was announced, but the U.S. made it clear that was not possible. I don't think Bibi ever wanted to make peace, Trump told the Israeli author. Trump spoke highly of the Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas. I thought he was terrific. He was almost like a father, couldn't have been nicer. On Friday it was revealed that Trump said he hasn't spoken to Netanyahu since he congratulated Biden on his 2020 win. F him, Trump said. It doesn't matter if Netanyahu congratulated Biden or not, or the importance of a strong alliance between the U.S. and Israel, because that's not important. The only thing that is important is the redemption of Israel and the regathering of all of Israel's children, the greatest and the smallest, the most Israeli and the least Israeli alike, into that land. And as I've told you many, many times, folks, show you in Scripture that this is going to come with terrible, terrible tribulation upon the Gentiles. I have shown this to you so many times. So I will go once again to a scripture that I have not used very often. Remember, it says they'll slip away to Mount Zion and Jerusalem, the New Jerusalem. And that place will be their escape, just as Jehovah said. and in that last generation of survivors when he calls them. And so you can read about this when Ephraim is also called home in Hosea 11. How Ephraim would have to suffer. But then Jehovah would change his mind, his heart, and deliver them from the west. Deliver them from the Fertile Crescent, Assyria. And also deliver Ephraim from Egypt. They would be coming from 3 different directions. Ephraim. That's what it says. You want to, you can read Hosea 11. It's written right there. And it's going to come when the sun turns to darkness. And then moon into blood, not before. See this word, this Hebrew word, panim, means facing the great day, a great and terrible day of Jehovah come. English does not have a word for that. Before can mean anywhere from thousands of years before to 1 second before. But the word panim means right in your face. Right there. So when the sun turns to darkness, when the lights are turned off, and the moon into blood, facing the great and terrible. So right at that time, what happens then? Isaiah 40, Isaiah 60. Hold on, I'm about to mess up here. Arise and shine, for thy light is come. The glory of Jehovah, not the Lord, is risen upon you. Because darkness will cover the earth, the Eretz, and gross darkness, the Gentiles. It'll be even darker among the land of the Gentiles. But the light of Jehovah is going to shine on Zion to remove that darkness. So there's going to be trouble in Israel too, but it'll be extremely short, because as soon as the darkness comes, around the whole world, including Israel, the light of Jehovah is going to come to Israel. And the Gentiles, as I showed you many times, will have to come to that light. Why? Because their lights are turned off. Why are their lights turned off? Well, if you bother to read Haggai 2, verse 20 through 22, that's right, you will know why. If you bother to read Ezekiel 38, 39, you would know why. Everybody gathers themselves together. The land of Israel will be enlarged to grow wide, right? To grow wide and large, enlarged. Roomy. Make room. When the Trump administration threatens, it will be the worst thing you ever do. Well, how about somebody with power call their bluff? What are you going to do about it? World, Trump administration, Russia, Turkey, England, Europe. What are you going to do about it? You'll do nothing. You'll be crawling on your hands and knees to Zion, because your lights will be turned off. Just like that. Your sons will come from afar, and your daughters will be confirmed, supported. Once again, your land will be enlarged because the roar of the Mediterranean Sea, the Yam, will be overthrown when their armies of the Gentiles invade. Ezekiel 38 and 39. So how are all Israel going to be gathered? The word is to fly. Oof means to fly. Now, you people, you thought that your rapture of the church to heaven was going to be the final narrative, but you were wrong. The people of Israel are going to fly. Oof. Fly on birds. Specifically, a swallow. Now, hold on. Of a seraph. Now, let me show you something. We'll go to Bible Hub, Haggai 2. No, we want to go to Isaiah again. Isaiah 66. Let's see here, Strong's Concordance. We did this yesterday, but I want to do it again. Right here, when it talks about the wicked, the judgment upon the wicked. What wicked? It shows you what wicked. It shall come to pass that when I will gather all the Gentiles and tongues, and they will come and see my glory. Well, that's exactly what is written in Isaiah 60. And I will set a sign among them, and will ascend the fugitives, refugees, fugitives, the two witnesses, like Eliah was a fugitive from Jezebel, from that great whore living in the land of Israel. This great whore among the Gentiles, these two Eliahs, fugitives, will be placing similar plagues upon them to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children and the children to the fathers, so that all Israel will come back home. And if it means darken the sun, darken the sun. They will have the power to do it. And where will they go first? To Tarshish. Now, I made mention of Tarshish yesterday. Now let's go look at Tarshish. Let's go look at a map of Tarshish. All right? Oh, I don't want to look at an American map. We can do better than that now. Maybe images. Oh, well, look what we have here. All right. This one probably looks... Okay, so clearly you see that Tarshish is in the Atlantic Ocean. Can we all agree that that's what that is? And I saw a map one time. Where did... launch his ships? Oh. Let's see here. Palos? Where's Palos? Ah! Well, look what we have here, folks. You see this? What do you see? Right here. They were launched from... Only one was launched from Portugal. All the rest of them was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 were launched from Tarshish. But Henry, it says from Tarshish. Now what we want to do, folks, please folks, do your research. Save this map. Okay? So clearly the ships of Tarshish headed to the Americas, both North and South America. So then what we do is we go back here and read here. And who are these? Or they fly as a cloud, or they fly in the clouds, like doves, like birds. What does it say in Hosea 11? Ephraim. I want to make sure I keep my spot here, but it's very, very important. There's no excuse for not understanding this, folks. Where Hosea 11. He says exactly where they're going to be coming from. There is no excuse. All right. They will walk behind Jehovah. He will roar like a lion, and when he roars, his children, his son, Ephraim, shall tremble in the west. Where in the west? And out of Egypt, and as a dove out of the Fertile Crescent. You notice birds, birds, like birds. So when we read Isaiah 60, what does it say? Who are these that fly in the cloud like the birds, like doves to the windows? And when we read Isaiah 66, it says, and they shall bring all your brethren for... Okay, hold on, wait a minute. I will set a sign among the two witnesses to the Gentiles. To where? Tarshish first. We read in Isaiah 60 and verse 9 that the coastlands have to wait. The ships of Tarshish will be first. And as I have asked, does that mean the ships of Tarshish, Does that mean those places where those ships went? You see, they went from Tarshish, and where did they go? You see it right here. They went to the Americas. Didn't they? I have shown you 100% proof, undeniable proof, that the ships of Tarshish went from Tarshish across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas. So they're going to be coming back on ships. But wait, hold on. But this time, what kind of ships? They're going to be flying. The coastlands of the Mediterranean Sea will have to wait. The ships of Tarshish first to bring your sons. But they're flying on ships, airliners, folks, to bring your sons from afar, and all their gold and silver is coming with them, unto the name of Jehovah Elohim, to the Kadosh of Israel. And the whole world will see his glory. Now the sons of the Gentiles are going to build up your walls, and their kings will serve you. Because in my wrath I smote you, but in my favor I will now have mercy upon you, exactly as it says in Hosea. He said his heart has changed, is overturned inside with compassion, to grow warm and tender for his children. So when you start seeing Russia issuing an ultimatum to NATO, as they have just recently done, day before yesterday, they have given NATO a secret time limit, so we don't know what time that they're going to act on this particular ultimatum. As a matter of fact, the draft agreement outlines the principles of indivisibility and equal security and non-threatening of each other's security. Now, if any one of you reads the scripture, you know that is impossible under today's government. So Russia is making an impossible demand. Moscow, this is in TASS, Russian news agency, translated into English so everybody can see this. Russian Foreign Ministry publishes a draft agreement on guarantees of security between Russia and the United States on Friday. The document includes 8 articles and covers the main aspects of mutual guarantees of security between Moscow and Washington. The document reflects the calls repeatedly voiced by Moscow in the past and offer a solution to the accumulated problems and threats, including those that emerged after Washington withdrew from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. First and foremost, and that was the Trump administration. Let's not forget this. The document outlines the principles of indivisible and equal security and non-threatening of each other's security. To this extent, the document includes the following points: rejection of actions and events that affect the other side's security, non-participation in such events, and refraining from supporting them. Besides, the draft agreement mentions the rejection of security measures, be it individual or within an international organization, military alliance, or coalition that could undermine the base security interests of the other side. The United States of America shall take measures to prevent further eastward expansion of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and deny accession to the alliance of the former USSR republics the treaty says. And of course, the United States and NATO is going to say no to this. Besides, the Russian draft stipulates U.S. obligation not to establish military bases in former Soviet states that are not NATO members. No, not to use their infrastructure to carry out any military activity, and not to develop bilateral military cooperation with them. According to the document, the sides will refrain from using other states' territories in order to prepare or carry out an armed attack against each other, or other actions that affect the other side's base security interests. Moscow offers Washington to refrain from deploying its armed forces and weapons, including within international organizations, military alliances, and coalitions, in regions where such deployment could be viewed as a threat to the other side's security, except deployment on one's own national territory. The parties shall refrain from flying heavy bombers equipped with nuclear or non-nuclear armaments, or deploying surface warships of any type, including in the framework of international organizations, military alliances, or coalitions, in the areas outside national airspace and national territorial waters respectively, from where they can attack targets in the territory of the other party, the document reads. Russia also proposes maintaining dialogue and cooperating on improvement of mechanism of preventing of incidents in international water and airspace, including negotiation of the maximum approach distance between military ships and planes. A separate article is dedicated to intermediate and short-range missiles. The parties vow not to deploy ground-launched intermediate-range missiles and shorter-range missiles outside of their national territories, as well as the areas of their national territories from where such weapons can attack targets in national territory of the other party. The treaty also touches upon matters of nuclear weapons. The parties shall refrain from deploying nuclear weapons outside. We just read that. Okay, the parties shall not train military and civilian personnel from non-nuclear countries to use nuclear weapons. The parties shall not conduct exercises or training for general purpose forces that include scenarios involving the use of nuclear weapons, the document reads. Okay, Moscow's proposal aimed to prevent Russia, NATO from crossing red lines. And you have a whole host of as you see right here, EU summit agrees to extend anti-Russian economic sanctions by 6 months. Decision was unanimous. So, as you can see, and I will call Western Christianity Roman Christianity because that's exactly what they are. This is going to offend some of you, but I'm going to have to tell it to you just like it is. Catholic, Baptists, Methodists, Evangelicals, Unitarians, Episcopalian, the Church of England, Methodists, Baptists, Amish, Mennonite, you're all Catholic. That's what you are. You are all Catholic. You are of the Western Catholic branch. And of course, then you have the Orthodox Church, which includes the Greek Orthodox, the Russian Orthodox, Ukrainian Orthodox, the Egyptian Coptic Orthodox, and many others are on the Byzantine side. You have essentially a revisitation of, I believe, the Sixth Crusade. You know, the one where the man at the Vatican and the 10 kingdoms of Europe burned Constantinople in a very short period of time, partially fulfilling Scripture in Revelation. Constantinople was called the New Rome. I'll show you. Right here. The city was founded as Byzantium by Megarian colonists in 657 BCE. It was later renamed by Constantine the Great first as New Rome. Yes, they burned Rome to the ground. They burned Constantinople to the ground. Sacked it in 50 days, I believe it was. Fulfilling Scripture. But the old Rome is saved for the last days. Where Jehovah himself will destroy it. In the great earthquake, and all the Roman cities of the earth, Western civilization, Russia, all of the nations that I mentioned, were all going to come crashing down in that great earthquake. And that great whore, so to speak, who had everything that modern technology had to offer, will suddenly, in an instant, have absolutely nothing. And then the Scripture is going to be fulfilled. I believe it was in Genesis. Either 9 or 13. Can't remember which one it was. Alright. It's 9. And verse 26. Blessed be Jehovah Elohim of Shem. Does it say, blessed be Jehovah Elohim of Japheth? No, it does not. Blessed be Jehovah Elohim of Shem. Canaan will be his servant. Elohim will enlarge Japheth. And it's true today. They have the lands of Russia, East and West Europe, North America, and South America. What does Shem have? Virtually nothing, just desert lands. But in the end, Japheth will end up dwelling in the tents of Shem. The tents of Japheth, where the great whore dwells, are going to be torn down. And the tents of Shem are going to be enlarged, and I believe it is Isaiah 4. Well, it says, we can see it right here. All the Gentiles are going to come. And all the coastlands to hear his fame and to see his glory. And declare his glory among the Gentiles. And they, that would be they, the two witnesses, will be ordering through plagues that the Gentiles bring all Israel's brethren for an offering to Jehovah out of all the Gentiles upon birds. And the children of Israel will be an offering in a clean vessel in the house of Jehovah, because they cannot be clean in faraway lands. We are all unclean, each and every one of you Jews and lost Israelites, including myself, probably one of the lost Israelites, are unclean in this land. Because a new heaven and a new earth will I make, and it shall remain before me, says Jehovah, and your seed and your name will also remain, O Israel. And it shall come to pass that one new moon to another, and from one Shabbat to another, shall all flesh come to bow down be in their face, says Jehovah. And they will look at all the carcasses of men that have transgressed against me. Alright? So when you see the Gentiles start attacking each other, blowing each other up to smithereens, know this. In Haggai, we'll go to Haggai, and then we'll go to Daniel 12. The word of Jehovah came unto Haggai in the 24th day of the month. What month? It says right up here, the 9th month. The Jews know what day that is, but you Gentiles don't. I have already told you. Speak to Zerubbabel. What does Zerubbabel mean? Begotten in Babylon. He says right here, concerning if the holy flesh bear with one of his garment, with his skirt do touch bread or polish of wine and oil, after if that one is unclean with the dead body, shall touch any of these, shall it be unclean. And the priest said, it shall be unclean. So is this people, and so is this nation before me. Why? Because they just came out of the Gentiles. Okay? But when they come out of the Gentiles, they will be clean once again. So, speak to Zerubbabel, begotten in Babylon, but coming out of Babylon, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth. I will shake the sky and the earth, and I will overthrow the throne of the Gentiles, the kingdoms of the Gentiles, like it is written in Ezekiel 60. Isaiah 60. The murmuring, the waters of the Mediterranean Sea will be overthrown. Rome. And destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the Gentiles, and overthrow their chariots and those that ride in them, and the birds and those that ride in them, the war birds. And all the riders shall come down, every one by the sword of his brother, in that day, says Jehovah of hosts. Zerubbabel will be a sign. What sign is that? Come out of her, my people, begotten in Babylon. Don't ever forget this map right here, folks. And after these I saw another messenger come out of the sky, having great power, and the earth was lit with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, Babylon the great is fallen, is become the habitation of devils, the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all the Gentiles. There's no getting around it, folks. You cannot say that's just a spiritual meaning. No, these are the Gentiles, the Goy. The Gentiles have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Her religion, her religious system caused these people, the Gentiles, since they drank of this filthy cup, to murder, rape, and pillage the Jews over and over and over and over again. To commit the blasphemous act of replacing the name of Jehovah with their Celtic Gut, Gott, or their Latin Deus, which means Zeus. They have replaced Yehoshua, the Moshiach of Israel, with Jesus Christos, the false idol of the Druids, who were known to be pagans. And they refuse to acknowledge the Creator. And because of this, because of their replacement theology, they also believed they replaced Israel, and they thought that by replacing Israel in their so-called theology, that they could wipe Israel off the face of the earth. And now they are ready to wipe each other off the face of the earth as I'm speaking to you today. This event could have happened during the 6-Day War, also during the Yom Kippur War. It almost did. This event could have happened in the Cuban Missile Crisis. It almost did. But the time was not yet. Well, I can tell you, folks, that the time has run completely out. I know this because of the way that I read the book of Daniel in Daniel 9. I calculated it correctly. Time ran out in the Roman year 2016. So all we had to do was wait for the next world crisis. And we're here. This is where we are. There's no more time left. Therefore, it is not to be restrained or stopped anymore. So Daniel 12. We go to Daniel 12. And at that time, Michael will take a stand. The great prince, captain, will stand for the children of your people, Daniel. And when is this going to happen? At the time of adversary upon the Goy. At the time of adversary upon the Goyim. It does not say what King James says. King James says, there shall be a time of trouble such as there was never since there was a nation, even to that time. And that's not what it says in Hebrew. But you want King James to deceive you, don't you? You anglicized Christians. That's what you want. Well, you get what you want. I'm here to tell you that you are wrong. Because I'm looking at it from a Semitic, from a Hebrew point of view. See, Michael is going to stand up for the children of Daniel's people, Israel. And it will come to pass a time of adversary, trouble, distress. The same distress that you find in Luke 21. I think it's in Luke 21. I want 16, I wanted 20. 21. All right. Return of the Son of Man. And there will be signs in the sun turned to darkness, and in the moon turned to blood, and in the stars, meteorites falling from the sky, and on the earth, distress on the what? The Gentiles. So when the time of the Son of Man coming will be great distress upon the Gentiles, exactly as Daniel 12 says. And at that time your people shall be delivered. Romans 11. Verse 25, speaking to the Romans, for I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits. What has happened in the last 2,000 years? The Romans have remained wise in their own conceits. They did not listen to Paul. That only partial blindness has happened to Israel until the time of the Gentiles comes to an end. And so all Israel shall be saved. Shall slip away. Because it is written. Written where? In Daniel. Right here. And your people shall be delivered. And there's no qualifier here. They will be found to be written in the book of life. Now, there will be many that sleep, and the dust of the earth shall awake. Some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And those that are wise shall shine as the brightness of the extended surface, the firmament. And many of the righteous as the stars forever and ever. So you Gentiles are going to destroy each other, because it is written in Haggai 2 verses 20 through 22. And when that happens, the lights are turned off, all Israel shall be delivered. There is no other way, folks. I don't care what your preacher said. I don't care how many nuclear weapons you have. They cannot save you. So Gentiles, prepare for your doom. And all of you who are Israel-centric, listen to me carefully. Prepare for your salvation, because it's coming. And nobody will be able to stop it.